you're ramping up your wholesale business going into 2026 and you're looking to scale aggressively, I've just made the ultimate guide for how to scale with YouTube ads. I'm going to cover everything from the different phases of scaling, strategies that wholesale millionaires are using right now, and the metrics you need to track in order to aggressively scale. So enough talk, let's go. So the first thing we'll break down are the different phases. So the first phase, as soon as you launch your campaign, is going to be the initial testing phase. This is typically with especially small budgets, around 7 to 14 days. And within this period, you're gathering data in order to collect information to see what levers you're going to be pulling once you reach the optimization phase. So just look at this as a data gathering phase. And the key thing to understand here is to not touch your campaigns within the first 14 days if you're running a small budget. Don't make any changes. Don't change the name. Don't change the budget. Don't add UTM tracking. Don't do anything, because any small change could interrupt the algorithm, and that's going to waste a lot of time and in the end, your money. After the 7 to 14 days is up, we move into phase number 2, which is the optimization phase. Now, in the optimization phase, like I said before, going back, basically you now are going to pull those levers based on the information that you've just collected from the first 7 to 14 days. So most of the time, these are going to be your KPIs that you're going to be tracking. And most of the time, these are things like your cost per lead or your cost per closed deal, if you have that currently. You might not already, but you should be able to understand what the maximum cost per lead you have in order to yield a certain return on investment should be. Once you know that number, you then can purge campaigns that are not performing well and add budget into campaigns that are performing extremely well. And there's 2 different types of scaling, which we're going to break down in a little bit. But from there, after this, you then move into phase 3. And phase 3 is now the scaling phase, essentially where you're going to be adding additional budget into already what's working by either adding more budget into existing campaigns, vertical scaling, or like we're going to break down, horizontal scaling, where you're going to be creating variations of the winning campaign. So let's get right into that right now. So by definition, vertical scaling essentially is increasing budget, like I said before, on existing campaigns and ad groups that are already performing well. But how it looks practically, because this can be a little bit vague and confusing, is you want to gradually increase your daily budget, typically about 20 to 50% every 2 to 3 days on winning campaigns. So this is going to be more conservative than Facebook, because YouTube's algorithm takes longer to stabilize. And the more headroom that you have on your target CPA or your ROAS, the more aggressive you can actually be. So look at it like this. Let's say you have a foreclosure campaign, you have a tired landlord campaign, and you have an inherited homes campaign. You just equally distributed $30 a day. You'd probably be spending more, but just for the sake of this, let's say you have $30 a day in total that you're spending, so $10 in each campaign. Let's say your foreclosure campaign absolutely crushed it, but your tired landlord campaign fell within KPI, but your inherited homes campaign now is not doing well. You're going to kill that. And in vertical scaling, essentially, you would just take $5, or you take $10, and you divide that in 2 and add 5 into each of the winning campaigns in order to scale up on what's already working. What I suggest you do is something called horizontal scaling. This is a little bit different. And essentially, by definition, this is just duplicating winning campaigns and ad groups with strategic modifications in order to reach new audiences. So there are many different ways that you can do this. You can do this via creatives. You can do this via audience targeting, placements, ad formats. So let's just break each of those down right now. So these are the main 4. Number 1, we have the audience targeting themselves. Essentially, what you would do is you duplicate a winning video ad into a new campaign and have different targeting. For example, like custom intent if you were using in-market segments. So, or you can do, for example, if you had in-market audiences, you can do custom affinity audiences, demographic targeting, anything that's different than your original targeting within the YouTube ads campaign. Next is like different placements. So if you're on YouTube specifically, right, doing video ads, maybe you can try using just the display network. Man, I don't know why that took me so long to say. The display network or the YouTube search, for example. Maybe you'll be in display network or discovery ads, etc. Or you can test like YouTube Shorts if you've been running in-stream ads, for example. Next are different ad formats. So if you have winning skippable in-stream ads, you then want to then test a non-skippable in-stream ad that's a bit shorter. Or if you had like a long form VSL, try creating a 15-second cut down version that gets to the meat and potatoes and just see if that's going to win instead and resonate more with your target audience. Or, you can test the same message as a discovery ad. So like I said before, this is similar to the formatting. Let's say you have a video ad. You would take the same headline that you would use within your in-stream ad, and you would just put it in a discovery ad and add a thumbnail instead. And you could just basically have maybe some keys in a house, things that work well, or need to sell your house fast, put some text over there, text overlays, a million things you can do. But that's ads format. And then finally, we have different hooks and intros. I typically notice that this is the thing you should be testing first, or basically, if you have a winner, add in a variation with the same targeting is already performing well, and just add 3 to 5 different hooks that are hitting different angles, adding variations so you can prevent ad fatigue. So now you understand the different phases of scaling and the actual different types of scaling. You need to understand which metrics you need to focus on in order to pull the right levers. And this is just the specifics. So the number one thing I said before, cost per lead. This is basically the most common thing that most wholesalers look at. And essentially, it's just the metric that determines scale or kill decisions. Basically, you want to know your maximum cost per lead based on your close rate and your customer value. So if your assignment fee is $10K and your close rate with YouTube ads, it's typically high, like 10 to 20%, you then can adjust accordingly. And you need to obviously know what type of return on investment you're looking for as well. Now, a little rule of thumb here. You want to scale when your cost per lead is about 30 to 50% below what your max cost per lead is. So right now, if your max cost per lead is $100 and you're hitting a $60 cost per lead, now it's time to scale because you have the headroom and your target CPA has that wiggle room in order to be able to actually scale without worrying about whether or not you're going to be going over and potentially hitting the red. The second metric we need to be tracking is the click-through rate. This is less important, or I shouldn't say less important, but rather less common, where you're going to find a low click-through rate. Unless you're brand new to YouTube ads and you've never really run them before, which honestly is possible for a lot of people, your click-through rate, if it's low, could indicate a couple of things. Most of the time, it just indicates to me, especially if you have a high view rate on your videos, that your offer is just simply not compelling enough. If you have a low view rate and a low click-through rate, you just need to do some studying on how to actually create good YouTube ads. I have a video like that in the description below. But regardless, most of the time what I see when auditing different wholesalers' accounts are low click-through rates and high view rates. And then the other thing is a high click-through rate with a low view rate. This is another thing I run into. Basically, you have a clickbaity hook that doesn't match your offer or your content that you're actually putting out there. And this is just going to drive your conversions way down and you're going to lose money. Next is your cost per acquisition, or other people call this the CAC, customer acquisition cost. And basically, this is the key metric here because it's what you're willing to acquire, or what you're willing to pay in order to acquire a customer. So the formula you can do is cost per lead times 1 divided by the lead to sale rate equals your CAC. And basically, this is going to tell you if what you're scaling is actually profitable. So if you have a $100 cost per lead, let's say you have a 10% close rate, that's going to give you your cost per acquisition, probably $1,000. Is it worth it? Absolutely. You're going to put in $1, you're going to get 10 out of it. You're going to spend $1,000, you're going to get $10,000 back. 10x ROI, obviously a very profitable, very good thing. That's idealistic, varies depending on market, depending on skill, etc. But that's what you want to be looking for. And then the final thing is the landing page conversion rate. And basically, this is the percentage of clicks that actually end up becoming leads. So for lead generation, what I notice is the benchmarks are 15 to 40%. Now, I do see sometimes where there are extremely profitable wholesale campaigns that we have a 5 to 10% opt-in rate that also works just as well. Anything under 5%, you have to kill it. Like your offer or your landing page just simply isn't converting, especially if you're getting good clicks, a high click-through rate, high view rate, and your CPMs are down and all of your metrics look good on the front end, on the creative side, chances are your landing page and your conversion rate are just not doing well. And so basically what this is indicating to me is that YouTube's either sending lower traffic or the offer on your page, your headline, is not matching what the ad has been promising. Or it's just way too confusing and you just have way too many buttons. People can click off and get distracted super easily. And you want to make it a no-brainer step for them to just seamlessly input their information, move to the next step, gather it, give them a call, have them fill out a couple a couple bits of information on a secondary form, etc. And you want to make it, like I said, a seamless process here. This is not something that you're going to be doing where you're just going to want a million different things, different types of tabs where people can get distracted and then end up not actually converting. Now, if you're just getting started with YouTube ads and you haven't made videos before, it's very easy to get stuck. How do I create the hook, the body, the call to action? How do I record, and so on? So I've created a complete guide to creating banger wholesale YouTube ads right here. Aside from that, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.